So the future of our country, and indeed our civilization, is at stake on November 3rd. I'm the only thing standing between the American dream and total anarchy, madness, and chaos. And
he wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there. And she was married. And all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony and she's totally changed her look.
She's your girl's hot as in the purple.
Whoa!
Yes!
Whoa!
Yes, the Donald has scored! Oh, my man! Wait, you gotta look at me when you get out of here.
This up.
That is very...
Will you give me the thumbs
Look
up?
at you. You are a... You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the...
Blessings to one and all, and welcome to the Infinite Journey podcast. I'm Paul James Caden, and in today's show, we are going to be talking about something that is probably going to be uncomfortable for some people to hear. I would imagine this show is going to inspire anger. It is going to inspire the self-defense mechanism in some people who may hear it. It is going to inspire the attack mode that many of us get into in this day and age. But before we let ourselves go there, I want you to understand this. And if you hear nothing else I say in this podcast, please hear this. This is not a show that is designed to attack anybody. It is not a show that is designed to be critical of anybody. It is not a show designed to choose a political side. I am not a political person. This is not a show that is designed to espouse the us against them mentality that is so prevalent in our world today. It is none of those things. I have no negative or ulterior motives or intentions for this show. As a spiritual person who has been podcasting for probably going on about 3 years now, I feel that I'm not doing my job as a spiritual person, as a child of God, as someone who has been seeking the light all of my life. I don't feel that I'm doing my job if I don't speak on certain things that I see happening in our world and playing out on the world stage. Especially when they are things that I mentioned before to family members, to friends, in previous podcasts on some of my other shows, such as the spirit side that I canceled not so very long ago. I'm seeing a lot of things unfold in our world right now that are very dangerous, and I've been saying for a long time now that this is dangerous and we need to apply the brakes, but we're not applying the brakes at all. And so I'm doing this show to hopefully get us to wake up from our slumber, realize what it is, what we're saying, what we're doing, how we're acting, the very dangerous direction that we are going in this world. And here in the United States of America, this is not good, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why I'm speaking about these things today, out of concern and out of hope that it will inspire change. And if this podcast resonates with you, if it makes you do a little self-examination and realize that maybe you've been on the wrong track, maybe you've been duped by certain individuals in the religious and political arenas, then share this podcast, share it with other people. As I always say, doing a show, any podcast is like a seed that I sow to try to inspire something good in the world, my way of giving back. No ulterior motives. What we talk about in these shows is from the heart. It's real. It never has an ulterior motive behind it. So what I want to talk about today, starting this topic off, there is a lot of conspiracy theory going on in the world right now. Everything is fake. Everything is diabolical. There's going to be technology that rearranges human DNA in the upcoming coronavirus vaccine, and it's going to turn people into subhuman devil worshippers of the Antichrist. All kinds of ideas that are being perpetuated out there. And I have to say, right from the start, a lot of this is not true. I spent a lot of time on my former podcast, The Spirit Side, debunking conspiracy theories, because I saw how so much of this was running rampant, and I said on that show more than once, I said the day is coming, or if something does happen in our world that is catastrophic, these people who believe in the conspiracy theories are going to make it absolutely disastrous. These are going to be the people who prepare all of their lives for something bad to happen, but then when something bad does happen, they'll say, it's not real. Well, this is fake. This is from the fake news media. This is from the deep state. And so now we have the coronavirus pandemic, which is real, and this is what people are saying. They will attack you verbally and even physically over wearing a mask for 10 minutes in a grocery store when they're around other people. Now, that is a very sad mentality to have. And I think we need to back up the truck and look at what we're doing. Look at what we're saying. Look at how we're treating other people. And I've said this in other shows, many of these people claim to be religious or Christians. And the absolute horrible ways they act and treat others, attack others, bodily harm others over wearing a mask for 10 minutes in a grocery store. And this doesn't surprise me because I've said all along, and there are studies out right now, there are reports right now showing how a lot of this conspiracy theory and a lot of the conspiracy theories that come from groups like QAnon are largely accepted and having an impact on the evangelical Christian community. They are largely the ones who are grabbing hold of this and running with it. And there are some former evangelicals who are doing the same thing. And I've said for nearly 3 years now, I said, because I'm a former evangelical Christian, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I know how things operate in that particular sect. And these individuals, this is not a criticism, remember that. This is an observation of the facts. And if you're a big supporter of Q and all of that thing, and you're starting to get hot under the collar right now, you need to calm down and you need to listen. Because maybe you're getting hot under the collar because something that's being said here is resonating as true. It's perhaps tugging at the weak foundation of some of these beliefs and doctrines and conspiracy theories. And we are a people in this day and age that don't want to change. We make up our minds about something and we just want it to stay that way forever. I decided it was right, therefore it is right ad infinitum, forever. But we need to understand, and I've said this for years, I've said what the reports and the studies are saying now, how most of the evangelical community are the ones that are really buying into the conspiracy theories, no matter how outlandish they are. And that is because these individuals have been programmed all of their lives by their religion to fear, be very suspect, and to be very divisive. Things in the evangelical community, before they were more spiritual conspiracy theories, such as evangelical leaders saying, don't eat Halloween candy because it represents a day that is celebrated by Satanists. And there is a spiritual curse upon this candy, and you do not want to buy it and have it in your home or ingest it because it could cause spiritual, psychological, and physical ailments. However, it is okay to buy the Halloween candy after Halloween because then it just becomes regular candy again. The day has passed and the curse somehow has been magically lifted. Although some people said that people that make Halloween candy, Halloween costumes, Halloween decorations in the factories and plants, these were Satanists who pray over their product to bewitch and spiritually enslave those who buy them to the works of Satan. Now, I kid you not. These were real things that were said, and if you do a little digging on YouTube or the internet, you'll find many evangelicals who still say these kinds of things. Things such as, don't listen to rock music, even if it has Christian lyrics praising our Lord. Because the sound of electric guitars will draw demons to where you are from miles and miles around, because rock music and even the very sound of an electric guitar is satanic. Because Lucifer was the archangel in charge of music in heaven. And one of the things he did in rebellion against God after his fall was come up with the sound of the electric guitar to blaspheme and spite God. Because Lucifer made all the musical sounds of every instrument ever known or that will be known. He could create that sound with his vocal cords. And so he made the sound of the electric guitar. They've said things like, don't have a Christmas tree in your home at Christmas time. It's a pagan holiday. And if you bring a tree into your house and decorate it, even if you believe in Jesus, You're bringing the spirit of an ancient pagan tree goddess into your home. You're inadvertently worshiping that pagan god or goddess, and you will be cursed. Your house will be cursed. Your children will be cursed, and you may never get rid of that spirit that you invited into your home, and that it could actually jeopardize your salvation. Or how about this one? Don't watch horror movies. Horror movies are meant to inspire fear in many people that make them, the actors, the producers, the directors, the script writers, all belong to satanic cults or witch covens, and they pray and do rituals over their movies so that when you watch them, they inspire fear, and a spirit of fear or a demon of fear can come through your TV while you're watching it and attach itself to you. Or how about this one? Don't wear Nike sneakers, because Nike was the name of some pagan demonic god of some culture. I don't remember which one it was. But when you buy such products and you wear them on your feet, you are essentially evoking this dark, demonic pagan god, and the spirit of this thing will attach itself to you and or your children. Now the list goes on with these things. And I hope you can see and understand, and I hope you're seeing how outlandish a lot of this is. But what are these? These are conspiracy theories. The devil and his minions and his followers were everywhere. They were in music, they were in clothing, they were in movies, they were in books, they were in Harry Potter, they were in statues and knickknacks and trinkets. Everything you could imagine was inhabited by a demon or a devil, or prayed over by a Satan worshiper or a dark witch to bring you harm and ensnare you in the kingdom of Satan. Back in the day when I was an evangelical, the creepings of what we hear today were starting to come alive in the churches and through the messages of some of the televangelists. And many of them were Republican. I have nothing against Republicans. If that's what you are, if that's the party you belong to, fine. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with people that want to vote Democrat. I see both sides of the argument, why people get divided over these things. There's good and there's bad in both. So I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm fine with anybody's political view that they have. I don't judge anybody by that. But back in the day, back to my story, most of the evangelicals were Republicans, and many of them would say toward election time, make sure you vote Republican all the way down the ballot. Because if you vote Democrat, well, those are the people who are in alignment with Satan's values. And God and Jesus are going to be very displeased if you vote Democrat, and you will have to answer for that on Judgment Day. Now, do these things sound like conspiracy theories? I could go on and on. I could make probably 6 months of shows nonstop of all of the spiritual conspiracy theories that the evangelical community has espoused over the years. As I used to say, there was a demon under every rock, according to the evangelicals, because you couldn't do anything. Everything was just permeated by the devil. And we see how that mentality has carried over into today's day and age, where many of the evangelicals are buying into the conspiracy theories, buying into things like QAnon, which I spoke about QAnon uh, more than a few times on my old show. And to me, I'll just start out by saying this. There are a lot of failed predictions by QAnon. On my old show, I would come on and I would say, this is not going to happen. Don't worry about this kind of thing. Don't fret. Don't get all, worked up over what, Q is saying. I didn't even know who QAnon was. I just heard these outlandish conspiracy theories and I would debunk them. And some people would get mad at me and say, how dare you, have you ever heard of QAnon? Or, he's the one who, told us these things and he's been so accurate. So I looked into it, found out what it was. I thought it was, um, it was kind of like brainwashing propaganda to me. And even though I debunked so many of the QAnon predictions, like for the past 2 years, QAnon has been predicting every March and April that 3 days of darkness is coming on. I think it's actually been 2018, 19, and 20 that QAnon said 3 days of darkness is coming where the electricity is going out, there's no internet. Donald Trump and the good guys are rounding up all of these deep state criminals, and it's going to be a very trying time. But when the power comes back on, we're going to have a freer country and a freer world. And I said all 3 times, I said, folks, this is not going to happen. And I got a lot of guff from people that put a lot of faith into QAnon. But when it didn't happen, 3 times in a row, not to mention all of the other QAnon conspiracies that I talked about on my old show and said, this is just not going to happen. This is propaganda. This is nonsense. I don't know if this person is just completely deluded or whether this person is just trying to capitalize on the popularity of all of these political conspiracies. But it's almost become like a cult in and of itself now. And there are people that I know that I've debunked these things many times in the past, but they'll still say, well, and I'll say, well, what do you think now? I said months before that this was not going to happen. I could see the writing on the wall, so many failed political prophecies by QAnon. Well, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It could happen next year. It could happen next week. So people, as I said before, that they don't like to change what they deem as right. And that's a very dangerous place to be in. And now, instead of Halloween candy that's been prayed over by Satanists and cursed and you're ingesting demons if you eat it, now there are nanobots in vaccines and there are 3 days of darkness and just all of these things that go on and on that gets so bizarre. And much like the evangelical religion that has given birth to this mentality, it is very cult-like in many ways, and that, again, is extremely concerning because no matter what you tell people, and it's funny with cults, they all have the same rhetoric, they all have the same dialogue, the same comeback, and people who follow the conspiracy theories or who are very invested in Q, they'll all say when you present something to them that kind of shatters that illusion or shows where there have been political or national or worldwide predictions that didn't happen, they'll all say the same thing. They'll look at you angrily and say, "What are you saying? Are you saying I'm stupid? Are you saying I'm not educated? I've done my research. You need to go research it." But they don't realize the research that they've done is the research that QAnon and other followers of QAnon has directed them toward. They didn't get the balanced view on anything by looking at both sides of the story or looking critically at what Q is saying and then deciding whether this was true, how many failed prophecies, how many failed predictions, how many things did not come to fruition, how much of this sounds like fear tactics and propaganda. It seems we've just lost the ability to do such a thing. But yet these are the same people who still espouse that, everybody's a false prophet. This one's a false prophet. That one's a false prophet. If a prophet, they like to post that verse. Well, if a prophet predicts something and it doesn't come to pass, then don't be afraid of that prophet. This is a false prophet, thus saith the Lord. I forget what prophetic book that is written from one of the prophets in the Old Testament. They have no problem posting that and attacking people for being false prophets, but they'll never do that with the people that they choose to follow who have failed in prophecy after prophecy after prophecy or prediction after prediction. They'll still find an excuse to follow that individual or that group. I mean, have we inflated our own egos that tremendously that we can't get out of our own way and see the writing that's on the wall? So what is the point of all this? How does this fit into Donald Trump, QAnon, and the road to Armageddon? Well, the point of it is this. We have all these people that are following QAnon conspiracy theories, all these people following Donald Trump, saying things like he is the new King David, he is our Cyrus. I read a post on Twitter just last night that said Donald Trump has restored honor and dignity to America because he has put Jesus Christ in the captain's chair. Someone wrote, "Praise be to Jesus. We will follow you, Mr. President, wherever you go, and we are willing to die for you, sir." These are real posts and comments on Twitter. And this is not, again, a criticism or an attack, but they fail to see the man who made statements like the one made at the beginning of this show about grabbing women by, fill in the blank. If you're a star, they'll let you do anything. If that was a Democrat, well, what a filthy satanic dog. These people need to be taken out to the middle of the desert and stoned. How dare anybody vote for or support such a rotten, disgusting, lustful Democrat? These people are from the devil. But again, much like Q with the failed prophecies, but we'll keep making excuses to follow that movement. We make excuses for Donald Trump because, well, he's a Republican. We support Republicans. All good Christians support Republicans. Well, that was just locker room talk. We don't realize in the past people were eliminated from even running for president When they tossed their hat in the political ring, they were quickly eliminated because they took a drag on a marijuana cigarette when they were in high school or college. Or maybe they were seen to get drunk at a party or cheated on an exam. There's all these little things that people were ousted for. But for Donald Trump, it's okay somehow. It's okay for this man to not take any correction. We say no man has upheld Jesus Christ in the presidency like Donald Trump, and this is what many people on the internet, on Twitter and Facebook are saying. But they fail to see a man who doesn't take correction. He's even threatened to withhold disaster relief money from people because they don't deserve it, because they didn't support him in the election. He sounds like the angry parent in the middle of a pandemic. Kids need to go back to school. Colleges need to open. This needs to happen. That needs to happen. Get back out there, 170,000 and counting people dead in the United States during this pandemic. But we act like it's nothing and still call it a plandemic, a hoax-demic. It doesn't exist. It's fake news. Shouldn't a good Christian man reflecting the values of Christ be looking at life as being a little more sacred rather than ignoring it from the beginning and having over 170,000 people die on your watch? And again, this is not a criticism, it is an observation. So many things this man has said and done that we just ignore it. Act like it didn't happen. We make excuses for it. He wants to contradict science. Well, that's okay. Science is fake. He wants to deny things he said that were played his words in the news media. Well, that's okay. The news is fake. How far will we go to defend these wrong actions and words and tell ourselves that this is from God, that this is walking in the footsteps of Christ, practically worshiping this man? And we don't even realize, and again, I have to say, it's not a criticism, it's an observation, how much of his behavior seems sociopathic. And for those who don't know what that is, a sociopath is someone who lacks emotion and empathy for others. They don't have the emotions that a normal person has. They can act like they do, but everything the sociopath does is to benefit the sociopath. I know a woman who was married to a sociopath. He cheated on her numerous times. When she finally left the marriage and said, "Enough is enough," he looked at her and said, "Well, you betrayed me. How dare you? You're the most terrible person in the world. You just couldn't leave it alone. You betrayed me." Then he cried and he, kind of begged his way back. She gave him another chance. But why did he do this? Not because he loved her, because in his own words, "I know you're the kind of person, if a bus fell on me tomorrow and I was paralyzed, you would take care of me." See, she was nothing more than a safety net in his life. The sociopath thinks only about him, and him or her does not like criticism. If you disagree with a sociopath, that person will attack you tooth and nail. Try to discredit you, make you the liar, make you the cheater, make you the one who's to blame. A sociopath always wants to be right. A sociopath never wants to be wrong. They never want to be disagreed with. They're very angry, they're very obnoxious, they're very insulting to anybody who does not agree with what they're saying and doing. And unfortunately, if we look at Donald Trump, he seems to exhibit a lot of sociopathic behaviors. And I asked my uncle's wife, who is a psychologist, he was the head of many, nonprofit organizations and state facilities in the area where I live, and I asked him one day, I said, as a psychologist, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, do you feel that Donald Trump exhibits classic signs of someone who is a sociopath? And his answer was, and I quote, you better believe it. So again, this is not a criticism, it's an observation. And I think we all need to do some observing, because look at what is happening. There are people that are following these conspiracy theories, following these conspiracy cults, following these politicians saying they are the new Cyrus, they're our King David, they're bringing Christ back to America and to the world. This individual up there saying, I'm the only thing standing between total chaos and anarchy. But then look what's happening on the streets of America. Look at the national unrest and division, protests and riots. The country has gone absolutely crazy. But this person is saying, I'm the president of law and order. I'm the one who's standing between you and all of the chaos. But look at the chaos that's breaking out all over the United States, but we can't see it because we ourselves have been hypnotized to become sociopathic and egotistical. We can't admit we were wrong and that we're following the wrong path, the wrong voice, the wrong people. And I've told many evangelical Christians lately, I said, be careful. And I didn't say it in a snotty way, I'm not looking to pick a fight with anybody. Just telling them, be careful who you follow. Because there's many people that will think the Antichrist is from Jesus as well, or Jesus himself. That in the last days, that even the religion of man will be so corrupted that Jesus said, when I return, will I find faith on the earth? Many are called, but few are chosen. Because in those last days, everything will be so corrupted. And many will just follow after the voices of the false prophets, the false leaders, the false politicians, the false Christs. And this is what I truly believe all of this is leading us to. Because how can we, as people who are spiritual and religious and claim to follow the ways of Christ and read the Bible, how can we be this blind to our own actions and the actions of others? How can we sit back and say, this is right, this is good, this is from God? Knowing full well that in the final days, there is going to be a great departure from the faith. The love of many will grow cold, and they will follow after the doctrines of demons and surround themselves with teachers who will tickle their itching ears. They will only listen to the people they want to listen to. And when I left evangelicalism over 20 years ago, I said to my mother, I said to my brother, I said to my friends, and I said to my wife, I really hope that the people in the evangelical community begin to open their eyes and their ears, because their pastors and their leaders are likely to lead them right down the road into the arms of what will be Antichrist. Because these people are so politically minded. They're so fear-minded. It's not the gospel anymore. It's a message of fear and condemnation and division and hatred and a wrathful God criticizing others. Look how that person dresses. Look at the color of that person's skin. Look what that person believes. It's not even good enough if they're a fellow Christian. Look at the denomination they belong to. They're wrong. They are on the losing team. They have the wrong God, the wrong Jesus, the wrong denomination, the wrong gospel, and they're going to hell. And vote Republican because that's who Jesus supports. Over 20 years ago, I said it. I don't disbelieve that many evangelicals truly love God and they're truly seeking to be good people and to be pleasing to God and to live by the precepts as taught by the Master. But somehow they've come to substitute the brick and mortar building called the church and the pastors and these self-appointed bishops and prophets. Somehow all of that came to take the place of Christ and the voice of the Spirit in their lives. And they've been led astray, and they're being led astray. And mark my words, ladies and gentlemen, they are being led to that place where the day will come, as written in the scriptures, that those who kill you will believe they are doing a service to God. Because how many of these people that support QAnon, how many of these people that support Donald Trump are already taking up the mentality, get certain people out of the country, get certain people out of power, oppress other religions because it's all satanic. Everything has to be revamped the way we think it should be revamped in the name of God. And I've heard a lot of them say, and if people don't like it, they can leave the country or die. In those days, those who kill you will think they are doing a service to God. And we're fast approaching that moment right now. And we had better wake up and start listening to the voice of the Spirit instead of the voice of politicians and pastors and preachers and religious movements that claim to teach the unadulterated Word of God, but continue to give their flocks little pieces of scripture that support their doctrine that they want their followers to believe. That's not preaching the whole of the gospel and the pure, unadulterated Word of God. That's brainwashing your people and your congregation by repeatedly slamming into their brains little pieces of scripture and many taken out of context that support what you want them to believe. And many are falling for it hook, line, and sinker. Because look where we are. Look what we're supporting. And I remind a lot of my evangelical friends, remember, Antichrist does not mean against Christ. It means, in the original language, another Christ or in place of Christ. Many will think Antichrist is the Messiah or the kingdom of God being built and restored upon the earth. Why do we think the book of Revelation tells us that many will follow after the beast and they will wonder after him? They think he's God. They think he's the Messiah. They think he's sent by God. They will be lulled into a spiritual stupor by the words of the false prophet. Do you think we're being primed for that to happen very, very soon? Look how people practically worship and follow after QAnon like it is some great prophet of God. People walking around with little Q's on their shirts like it's a cult. Look at the people who follow after Donald Trump because Q told them to. My pastor told me to. My church told me to. I don't care how he talked about women. I don't care how he never takes correction. I don't care how he threatens to withhold money from people that desperately need it in times of disaster because they didn't support him, their state didn't support him in the 2016 election. They don't care that in the middle of a pandemic, Mike Pence, who was supposed to be a wonderful Christian man, was coming up with ways to pull the plug on Social Security. Him and the other guy, Kushner. And I forget what the name of the thing was, but basically what they wanted to do was say, hey, we the government will give you X amount of dollars and one big lump sum if you agree to end your Social Security payments either now or just in a few years. Decide you don't want, you're going to let it go. And you'll take that lump sum and you'll invest it and you'll, create your own retirement. In the middle of a pandemic, they were looking at ways to take Social Security away from seniors, old people, disabled people. Does that sound godly? Does that sound like men who are following after God's own heart? I mean, again, the list goes on and on. I mean, I don't want to make this a show of just, reading an endless list of all the crazy and terrible things some of these people has said and done or planned to do. And again, it's not a criticism. It's an observation, and it's a plea for all of us to wake up and look who we're following after. By their fruits you shall know them. Stop making the old evangelical excuses. Well, King David, he did bad things with women too. Nobody's perfect. No, nobody is perfect. But there's a big difference between making a mistake and then repenting for it and changing your course of action and your behavior. And never repenting, never admitting it, and never changing the course of your behavior, just continuing as you were. That doesn't show a repentant heart. That doesn't reflect the nature and the love of God and of Christ. We are being greatly deceived by all of this. And all the prophets on the internet. Oh, I saw what's going to happen if Joe Biden is elected. Oh, we got to vote for Donald Trump because God showed me this. Well, let's remember the prophecy as well of all of the false prophets that will come on the scene in the last day. And I'm going to, and I spoke about a week or so ago about the Dana Coverstone prophecies and all these internet prophets with their dreams about, how everything's going to go so badly if we don't vote for Donald Trump. Now, I'm not saying, oh, go out and vote for Biden. I support Biden. Again, I don't have a dog in this fight. But I'll say this, and I'll stand by my words. All those people that are prophesying that kind of stuff to you are prophesying to you something that is a lie. And they are nothing but another voice who is taking you down the road very quickly to Antichrist and Armageddon. And I want you to remember these words for whatever happens in the future, because it's probably going to get even worse than it is right now. This is not going to go well. It is not going to end well. It is going to end in civil war. It is going to end in chaos and destruction. Man killing man in the name of God or in the name of other men they think are from God. And it will end with many people who have called themselves Bible-believing Christians all their lives, following after the spirit of Antichrist. And they won't even know it. And they will swear that Antichrist system, that beast system, is building God's kingdom on this earth. And they will swear that the Antichrist is either from God or Jesus Christ himself. Because they have been primed for this moment we're living in right now by their religion, their religious leaders, and their political leaders, and now they're being primed for the next and final step, and it's coming. It's coming. And I want you to remember that you heard it here on this show. And again, that's not a criticism. That's not something, trying to fearmonger. It's just a truth. This is what's coming if we don't apply that break, if we don't wake up, if we don't get back to listening to the Spirit of God rather than the voices of men and politicians and people at the pulpit that have ulterior motives. And I think many of us need to go back and read the words of Jesus. We need to read the New Testament prophecies. And we need to look at our religious and political leaders in light of the things that the Pharisees and Sadducees said and taught in the days of Jesus, the things that he pointed out that were hypocritical, wrong, and leading the people in the wrong direction. We need to look at prophecies about the love of many growing cold, surrounding ourselves with false t-shirts to tickle our itching ears. We need to re-examine those prophecies about false prophets and false Christs, and the love of many growing cold in the last days, many departing from the faith, many departing from the truth, following after and wandering after the beast or the beast system. We need to step back from all of the religious rhetoric and conspiracy theories that we've been taught and that we've swallowed. We need to step back from all of that and look at those words in the New Testament through new eyes and see exactly where we're being led and what we're being led to, because, ladies and gentlemen, it is not good. And that is not a criticism, that is not choosing a side. It is simply an observation and also a very strong feeling that I have that things are very, very bad in the world right now, and very, very bad in Christianity, particularly Western Christianity. We are going astray like never before. And we need to realize that, and we need to change. Or we're going to find ourselves in a place we wish we weren't. And then there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, because the deception is going to be great for many. I hope you got something out of this podcast today. Please share it with your family and friends. Let's try to start a chain reaction of enlightenment, opening our eyes, seeing what's really going on around us, getting back to kindness and love and common sense and logic and compassion, and just being good people who really follow after the heart of God and of Christ. As always, I thank you for listening. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, read the New Testament, read the words of Christ, pray, think, meditate, self-reflect, look at what's going on around you. Just don't join into it because everybody else is. There's one thing I've learned, and I want to share this with you really quick. One thing I've learned a long time ago: when the whole world, including the religious organizations of the world or religious people of the world, are all running in one direction, chances are that direction is the wrong direction. And we need to step back and pray about it and think about it. The masses always have a way, even the religious masses, of rushing toward the thing that is going to cause them hurt and destruction. And many follow after them because, after all, if everyone else is doing it, it must be right. Hence the old saying, if everyone else jumped off a bridge, would you jump off too? I think we need to ponder that a little bit. I thank you for listening. Until next time, stay safe, stay well. I'm Paul James Caden, and I'll see you next time here on The Journey.